I was just like, and they're like, nah. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode where I get to chat with some lovely visitors. My name is Sanya to anybody that is new and visiting. And so today here I have my mother, Magdalena, and my friend, Nyabana, who has been on this channel before. So today we're going to talk about bride price or dowry, and actually just to start off with, I want to actually do a little bit of a clarification, which I have also only learnt about the last couple of days, that dowry is actually described as, or dowry basically means that the woman's family gives some possessions or pays the man's family when they're getting married. And then bride price is where the the groom's family pays money to the bride family. And so that's just something I wanted to actually clarify out there, which I think a lot of us Africans especially think of it the other way around. But dowry, I think, is something that has been there for a very long time. And as I was reading, it actually goes all the way to the Roman empires and the Greek empires, and like even into the Bible, because they talk about somebody getting married, and then the man that wants to marry the woman gives like silver or gold or all that kind of stuff. So it clearly is not a new phenomena, and I don't know how exactly it started in the African community, but it's something that I was born into, and it's something that we would love to actually talk about because it's changed a lot and evolved over the years. And I feel like in the current climate, it is not in a very healthy state. Especially in the African community, because it is just gone a little bit out of control, and a lot of young people actually are struggling to, they don't want to get married because they don't want to have to deal with just what they're asking for today. We're basically just going to start a little bit of discussion and talk about our experiences, whether one of us has been involved, or it was, whether it was my bride price or whether I attended somebody else's bride price. Yeah. So maybe let's take it to, should we take it to Nyabana?
Yeah. I'm from South Sudan,
yeah,
from the Nuer tribe.
Yeah.
And the Nuer tribe, they pay cows. So when a girl gets married, the groom side pays the girl side cows. So it can be from like 15 cows to 100 cows. I guess it depends on how educated the girl is, how tall, how beautiful she is, and it just goes from there. So they negotiate with that. When it came to my bride price, there was so many things that I didn't agree with. Like I'm a bit conflicted when it comes to bride price, because I'm very traditional. I like to follow my tradition, and I'd like to pass that to my children as well. But however, there's just so many, I feel like there's so many cons that comes with the bride price. Yeah. So when it was my bride price, when they were doing my bride price, I was not really happy about it. I was not happy about it, because I felt like, is this guy coming to, buy me, and am I a property now?
Yeah.
Am I going to be a property of his?
Yeah.
What rights do I have? How am I going to be able to voice my opinions without him saying that, oh, I bought you,
Yeah. And so, that's mainly because were they asking for a huge amount of money?
Yeah, it wasn't, they were not asking for a really large amount, but they were asking for an amount where I was like, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, you felt like you were being bought.
Yeah, I felt like I was a property.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a property. I was auctioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, actually, from some of my readings, like a lot of women used to be auctioned.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which is really crazy. And depending on how, like, the more beautiful girls, standard of beauty, the more beautiful girls would be auctioned for more money than the ones that are not that deemed
beautiful
not
or
as
tall.
beautiful.
So beautiful, tall.
So in your so in
educated.
your culture,
So in my culture, so it'd be like the height, so how tall you are, how educated you are, how well put together, or what they think what a wife you're going to be, like how you're gonna cook and present yourself as a wife,
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yep.
So, as you can see, like it obviously has different impacts on different people. For me, I found that, well, first of all, I'm a very hard-headed person. And so I went to, when I was getting married, I went to my uncles. I said, I'm not interested in this thing because I have seen a lot of it not go well. And especially because I'm marrying a non-African man, I said, this is not part of his culture, and so we don't really need to do it anyway. So I went to some of my family members, and let's just say that I really had no say. When I was single, I used to say, there's nobody that's going to tell me what to do about this whole situation. And my friends used to be like, you know what, for some reason, somehow you actually have no say when it comes to this thing. And I used to be like, yeah, no, you guys are just weak. It happened to me. No kidding. I went to my family members, because obviously you can't just go to and talk to one person. Went to family members, and then they were like, well, this is the culture and there is nothing you can do about it, okay? The man came looking for you, and so therefore he has to adhere to the culture. I was just like, and they're like, nah. So,
Stop there.
so it is clearly something that, it's very hard to get away from. Anyway, the thing, though, is we were able to come to some sort of a conclusion. But it's crazy how you don't actually even get involved. One of the things that really just disturbs me is the fact that the bride and groom are the ones that are going to, take on this marriage, but they're not really involved in these negotiations. And I just don't understand why somebody else needs to talk on, on our behalf. Because, so I was in another room, Lawrence was in another room, and then we had mediators in between. I don't get it. He has to fork out the money or whatever, the bridal price that they ask for. So I don't understand why, we had to be in separate rooms and outside of this thing. Anyway, so that was one thing, being in separate rooms, and then they start asking for the things that they want, and it is just so draining. It takes a very long time, and it takes sometimes it takes a whole day. Sometimes people actually stay all night, and I'm like, and people are working the following day, and it's funny, they can do it even during the week, and they don't care. They don't care, and it's crazy how sometimes they'll be like, to start this, to open the mouths of the in-laws, you have to pay $1,000 or $3,000. The greedy ones, $5,000 for what? Huh? Yeah. And what about the ones that they're like, so transport. This has to be the most expensive Uber ever on planet Earth. I remember I went to one bridal party, to one negotiation, bride price negotiations, and they asked for $5,000 for the transportation of the aunties and the mums and stuff, with where the distance was only half an hour.
And also for the relatives of the men to come in, they also ask money for them to be, for them to come into the house and sit down. So they need to, pay money. So there's a lot of unnecessary, charges that has been made. Yeah. Which the thing is, I may understand it, but your generation will not actually understand this stuff, and these are the things that normally brings a lot of conflict or misunderstanding between the younger generation of you guys and then my generation. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of generation, I would like to know, how was it done in your generation?
Yes, please enlighten us.
Yeah, in my generation, it was done in a similar way, but back home, the charges are not so much like what is happening currently here with your generation. And the reason is because people were all together, and some of the charges, they actually use the actual cows and the actual goats.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the rest of the few things, then they pay money. So in that form, then things might not actually look very, very expensive. Like now here, they, sometimes they ask for, 60,000, 80,000,
Yes,
75,000. This is not actually good. Even me, I would not agree with that, because
Absolutely.
it's like we are putting these newly married people who are just starting their life, we're just putting them in a lot of debt.
Absolutely.
Which is really not nice. And it's like we don't care about them. So that is how I see it. But for me, I see that. I remember when I was getting married, they ask like for the Madi people, because my dad is from Madi.
Yeah,
They're not,
Sudanese,
South Sudan. Yeah,
yes.
Madi from
Yeah,
South
we're
Sudan.
all actually South Sudanese.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not, the Madi people are not so much into cows, but they count on the goats.
Goats, yeah.
Yes, and then they count for other things, and then also money as well. But the price was not so much into that. And with the Madi people, they also look at the lady if she's well educated.
Yeah.
That's when the money might go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And also, it also depends on the family, which family she's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if the family is well known, they are rich, then yes, they will ask for a lot of money as well. Yeah, so, but a lot of times the price doesn't go so much high. At least it is something affordable. And back home, because all the family members are there, a lot of times there is support from other family members.
Yeah, so
But
family support is a huge thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I've seen here now, mostly is the young man who is actually supposed to struggle. If his family are not here, then he has to work, and give all of that money away, which is really not fair.
That's true.
Yeah, so I just want to go back a bit and respond to one of the points that you made. You said, for example, when you're getting married, you were kept in a separate room, and Lawrence was in a separate room. Someone has to mediate between you guys.
Yeah, please give us some clarification.
Yes,
with that.
my clarification there is that actually it is important to do it that way.
Okay.
Because a lot of time, I saw few times that when the young man is around, they actually go emotional. And also the lady will get emotional because of the things that has been asked. And maybe,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and maybe the family of the young man might not have all the things that they were asking, and it's taking so long. So people might start, crying, loudly, and the whole thing.
Rightfully so, though.
Yes,
Rightfully so,
yes.
because
That actually makes sense.
that's the
It
main
actually
point.
makes sense.
usually
'Cause
it's
stressful.
such an emotional and
It's stressful.
and
Yes.
just it's
stressful.
a tough
Oh
environment.
my goodness,
Yeah.
it's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
makes
that's the
sense.
main reason. So there's nothing wrong with that, as long as there is someone who is updating you, both of you guys, and the information is very clear. And normally that person should actually be a very good person in encouraging and actually calming you down.
Yeah.
The person is not supposed to stir things out
To stress you
and
out.
and
Yeah.
stress you up and make you feel actually, maybe crying too much and losing all your beauty and your makeup. Yeah, so that's the whole point. So please don't feel that why people are separated, you're being kept in a dark. No, it's not about that.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. No. That
It
that
makes
definitely does make sense.
Yeah, it is not right for us adults to make our young people to feel that they have to pay a lot of money. And some young people actually had to borrow money from
Yeah,
the bank
definitely.
For sure.
in order
for sure.
to put out that beautiful marriage, which everyone will talk about it. And most of the South Sudanese culture, people love to praise things that they could see.
Visual. Yeah, visually.
Seeing is believing.
Yeah, seeing is believing. And even this young person who is coming to marry, if they know the family might be poor, this young person is not yet clear about their ways, have no proper career,
Yes.
is not working, hey, they will actually make it really harder.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, also if this person is well organized, working, have good career, they will actually put much more money and ask for much more money, which is actually not helpful in any way.
No.
You see, so I feel if I am to actually to say, something about that, we the adults, we the current adults, let us make it a little bit easier for our young people.
Yeah.
And it is actually very important because I always understand, and everyone knows that culture actually evolves. Culture changes from time to time.
Absolutely.
So
We can enhance it.
Yeah, we can
enhance it
enhance
to make it better
exactly.
and make it more beautiful.
Exactly.
So our generation can actually love
Yes.
our
yes.
culture, because
Exactly.
I love my culture. I'm passionate about my culture.
Exactly.
But I'm also a woman that has my right. I have a voice.
Yes.
I want to be able to say.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, voice my opinion
Yeah,
without
exactly.
without feeling like, oh, this guy has paid, 50 cows for me, and I have to be quiet. I
Yeah.
have to be that
Yeah.
good wife and
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
woman. I have
Yeah.
to shut my mouth and not say anything,
Exactly.
That's right. And
Yeah, so I would say, just 1 second, Sanyu, it is us the adults and you the young people, is us to continue talking, like a friendly, a good, discussion, and we need to make it a standard, a good standard that at least every young person can afford. So that's what I will that's my suggestion. We don't have to keep making it harder, and and a lot of time here, to be honest, it's not that when marriage is happening, mostly it is actually friends and elders that are collected together. So then why don't we make it standard?
Yeah.
Something that everyone can afford, whether you are already rich, your family is already rich or not, at least if it will be kept standard. And my other strong suggestion is that it's good to also invite this kind of discussion or recording with also male adults.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, people
Yeah.
who also have
Definitely. With the elders.
yeah,
With the
elders. Yeah,
Especially-
let them also put their point
Yeah.
of view, because we all need to agree.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
And the saddest thing is actually the mother usually is not,
They don't have any input.
they don't really have much of an input. Because I think if mothers would have their say, I think things would be a little bit different with how the bride price sessions always go. But they're not given any,
But I
they're
think,
just not really.
I think mothers don't have input because the bride price is paid towards the father.
Yes. And then,
Straight up.
Yep,
So
yep,
that's
yep.
why they don't give the mother an input.
But and this is one of the things. Actually, this is one of my pet peeves, right? So for girls that don't have their fathers, the bride price still has to go to the father's side. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the times when the woman doesn't have their father, a lot of the times, this is obviously generalization, it's not always the case, that the mother is the one that looks after this child, this girl. And it was the case for me where, my dad passed away when we were very young as the kids. And my mom has looked after us pretty much the entire time. It breaks my heart that when I am getting married, my father's side uncles and all that are the ones that still get all of that. But then, my mom has been there every step of the way.
Definitely.
That I do not understand. And for me, that is something that really needs to change, because we live in a world where it's just a bit I don't know, ignorant, for a lack of better word, to actually keep giving this money or whatever to somebody that actually has not really even had much of an impact, or has not even given any time to looking after you. And then the person that has is just nothing goes to them. I completely disagree with this part of the culture. Maybe you can.
Yeah, let me just add a little bit here.
Yeah.
Yes, that is how it's supposed to be. If your dad is not there, you have your uncles, the brothers of your fathers. They are supposed to get some of that money doesn't have to be all. But then the culture also says when you have brothers, you have siblings like brothers, part of this money actually can be kept for them when they are going to get married. It can actually help.
But but is that the case in reality?
Well, in reality,
because it's what the culture says.
With some it happens, but with some it doesn't happen like that. To be honest, yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the woman will completely be forgotten about.
Put to the side and like nothing happens.
Do you think that comes to greed? I feel like that comes to greed.
Some people might be. It's a culture that has been set that way.
Yeah.
And if you respect your culture, then you allow it to go that way. But I think for me, it's also important to, if there is no greed there, it's important to discuss.
Yeah,
the uncles will sit together with this mother who looked after the kids. Then they can be able to give something to the mother.
Yeah,
absolutely.
show appreciation to the mother's side as well.
Exactly. But if they don't, if everything goes to the uncles, then yes, there is a lot of greed there, which is really not.
For sure.
Yeah, and you leave the mother really broken.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if she doesn't say anything, because it is a culture, of course she's not happy.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like this again comes down to just, women being suppressed and women doing all the work but not getting anything in the end, which really frustrates me. I completely understand with Mom where she's saying, so the culture supposedly is that obviously, what did you say before? That it's distributed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not against the uncles getting something. I'm against them getting everything and the mom not getting anything. That is, I think, that is my main issue. But anyway, moving on, I think that we can kind of let's just talk about...
just to summarize this, is still, I always want to say, the young person who is getting married, whether you, especially you, the girl, I feel that it's important for the girl to be given a voice.
Yes.
Let her speak out her voice.
Yes.
This dowry is being paid because of her, so let us also hear from her.
Yeah,
definitely.
If she's gone beyond, like some people will go beyond, then they can adjust. But let the girl also be given a voice.
That's a good point that you said. Let the girl have a voice because the bride price has there's consequences to it later in life.
Especially when it is
ridiculously high amount. Yeah. There are the girl might end up in a healthy marriage with a healthy guy who loves and appreciates her. Yeah. However, it could be the other way around, and she could end up with somebody who's toxic, and she could end up in a toxic relationship, and that guy could use that as a power and be like, I paid for you, so you must give me 10 children. You can't say anything. You can't do that. You can't wear that because I married you, because I paid for you.
Absolutely. And I feel like that also has happened a lot with, like my mother's generation. I see a lot of women who are being abused in their marriages, but they're still staying there. Yes, and I know that a lot of it is to do with the culture that they've been brought in, where you don't really have much of a say, and once you're married, you're married. And then there's this other thing also where I've heard that usually if one of the reasons why even if the girl is being abused, when they go back to their parents' house, they say, well,
you have to go back.
You have to go back.
They'll tell you you have to go back.
Yeah, you have to go back.
And it's because of the refund, because the family doesn't want to be responsible to refund the guy's side.
That's right. That is right. And that's why I think that's why I'm like, it cannot be
That's what we think. I mean, that's why we have you here, so you can clarify everything to us.
I feel like that's what it is. Because somebody has paid a lot of money and they have invested it in a house.
And they obviously spent it already.
Or Gucci's and Louis, and so they cannot refund it back. So please give us some clarification.
Okay, my understanding is when there is a misunderstanding and the girl ended up running back to her parents, and then of course the husband will come and follow her, and if things are not sorted out, he will have to come with some of his family members also to come and talk about this. For me, it's more about your parents, the parents of the girl will encourage the girl that, okay, marriage, there is challenges, there is ups and downs in marriage. You need to learn to understand each other.
Not when you're being beaten, like a...
Well, beaten, according to the culture back then, it is part of the whole thing.
Yes,
Yes. So, listen. So, they will actually talk to you, they will encourage you, they will say, look, if it is the first time, go back.
Yeah.
Yes. This is part of marriage. You just need to be, careful. You need to learn to understand each other, because definitely you both grew up in different environment. Now you're here brought together in the name of marriage. So get to learn to understand each other, so that beating will not happen next time.
So it is essentially the woman's fault that she's being beaten.
No, it's not necessarily
that's
that.
what
But
it is.
normally, if it is the first time, wise parents will always speak like that. It's not like the first time straight away the girl has come back, they will hold you. No. Yeah. They will actually discuss it. They will encourage you to go back. And this will give them the opportunity to actually understand this man. Is he actually a violent person? Is this going to continue? So if it happens again, especially after a very short time or something like that, that's when now the parents of the girl will actually open their eyes properly and say, okay, is this guy actually responsible, or he's just violent? And then they will begin to dig out how his parents were, how were his, ancestors. And
maybe that's something that should have been done.
Yeah,
before
they will get
married.
all of this information. But sometimes
Not
when there is no
being
problem,
beaten.
sometimes when there is no problem, no one wants to go dig out things. But when things start happening, that's when they will dig out. So normally wise parents, when they see this happen again and again for the third time, then they will actually talk to their girl. Okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to go back? Do you see any future there in this marriage? They will talk to their daughter, and they will support. Other parents, as you mentioned earlier, they don't want to do anything with you.
Yeah.
Dowry has been paid, go back.
Go back.
Yeah.
Straight
Go
up.
back. No matter what, they will send you back. So all of these things are out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think what for me now, my generation, I am the parent now. I will actually try to understand what is going on there.
Definitely.
Is it actually my daughter who is a bit stubborn, and then she causes problems, and then she'll be beaten, and then she runs home? Or is it what is happening? I will try to understand more and see how we can support them. If it is me, I will do it that way. Yeah.
But in a healthy relationship, nobody should be beating anybody.
No, of course.
There should be
In
no
your generation
There
now,
should be no violence.
Yes.
There should be no
Full stop.
violence.
Point blank period.
Yes.
That was that generation.
Yes, in your
That was
generation
that
now,
generation.
beating is violent.
It's a no-no.
Even the law here doesn't allow
it's
it.
a no-no.
Thank God.
Back
for that.
home, back home it used to happen
Yeah,
because it was just something that is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So beating was counted as part of marriage, and the men will say, "I'm just disciplining my wife." When they
Nobody's
actually hit your
disciplining
head
me.
left and
No
right,
one.
and all your face is swollen. So yes, and in your generation, I agree with you. Beating is a no-no zone.
No.
Yeah, so there is a way of communication. If you're not communicating well, take it to family level. If not working well, then seek other support. There are a lot of professional support out there.
Yeah.
There is a lot of marriage counseling. There is a lot of, even your church can actually help with counseling, marriage counseling. So here you guys very blessed. You've got so much support around you. Only if you keep quiet, that's when things will
escalate. Definitely.
Escalate, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. So, well, I just wanted to make it very clear. Let's talk about, I know we've talked about it in all our experiences and stuff, but just as we are about to conclude, let's just quickly talk about the pros and cons, just as without going too much into detail. So obviously, one of the pros about bride price, doing the bride price is the fact that it is a beautiful part of the culture where it's about appreciation, and when it's done right, where it's not enormous amounts of money that's being asked for, it actually brings the family together, and it's a beautiful celebration. And it actually keeps family in harmony, because when there is any like the relationship continues
Yeah,
on.
definitely.
So when there's you end up encountering any issues, the family will always get involved and help you guys, like mediate
Yeah.
your problems and help you guys. So in the perfect way, that's how it should be. However, I feel like the cons outweigh the pros.
Can you put it
in
in
the
a simple
world.
term? Maybe a parent is listening out there.
Yeah.
They might not understand what is pros and cons.
Okay, so what I just said was just like the
Positive,
positives about
and
bride price,
And the negatives.
and then the negatives of the bride price,
Yeah.
especially in the world that we live in today, is the fact that first of all, there is a huge financial burden, because if you're asking a young person, like a couple that is about to get married and start their lives, you're asking for even 20,000. That's like a deposit for a mortgage. So
They
instead
must
of
have worked for
Yes.
maybe 5 years
Absolutely.
to raise that
That's
20,000.
right. So instead of putting that money into getting a mortgage, like a house, where they will start their family and start in a very good, place, they are starting in minus because they have put this money into, this bride price. And you know what's funny is a lot of times a woman actually contributes into that as well.
That's
And
true.
so it doesn't even make sense anymore. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the negatives. Another negative is the fact that actually, back to the financial burden, there's actually some men that have actually got into depression. Some men have worked hard, then they've married this woman. And then this woman has done things that they're not happy with. And then they've ended up actually getting so violent that they've killed the woman. It is crazy. It's not worth it.
It happens to a lot of men that go back to Africa and go
Absolutely,
pay
yes.
huge
Amounts of
a huge bridal price.
Yes.
And they bring the girl here with lots of money and all that stuff. She comes here and she becomes a total different person.
Of course,
she
because
gets a
she's-
voice like the two of us, and she's a bad girl.
she
And
is
the guy,
enlightened.
and the guy really loses his mind
Yes.
because she's talking now.
Yes,
She's
yes,
using
yes,
I
yes.
brought you here, and now you have a voice. How dare you
Yes,
have a voice?
yes,
So
yes.
the guy loses his mind.
Absolutely.
The guy loses his
Yes,
mind, and he
it's
goes
just not-
ballistic, and
Yeah.
that's when
Things-
domestic violence comes in, and
It's just, it goes
Yeah, it
really
goes-
bad
it goes
And
places.
they
really
get so
terrible.
angry,
Yeah.
they will actually lose it. They can't control their
No.
anger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything bad can happen.
Yeah, for
terrible
sure.
stuff happens.
And another negative is the fact that obviously there is a huge burden on like women's self-esteem, because they pick the woman apart. Unfortunately, is she educated, or is she tall,
Is she tall?
or is she a little bit curvy or not? There's a man who told me that he would not spend even a single cow on me because I am too tiny, too small. And I was just like, what has that got to do with me and the person that God has created me to be? Like, how does it?
I was told I was not gonna get married because I'm too opinionated and I have a voice.
That
Woo!
is
I'll stay
absolute
single for life.
stupidity. That's right. That's right. Any woman, any human being has the capacity to love
Yes.
amazingly. It doesn't matter what they look like, and so it really just doesn't matter. And one of the things that I don't like about this thing is the fact that, women are always kind of like a little bit picked apart, and it's just not really good for the self-esteem. Another negative is the fact that it actually ends up causing a bit of, fights and disagreements and all this. I went to a bride price negotiation, and honestly, I can never look at the people the same again. I'm annoyed with them because I was just like, how dare you? How dare you ask for all these things which does not make sense? And then you're expecting me to just be like, oh yeah, no, it was just that day. It was just that day. I'm not really that kind of person. I'm just like, how you represent yourself in these things, it's how you really are, in my opinion. Okay? And then what other negatives?
I think
Can you
the other
think of?
negatives is when a guy that's coming from a different tribe. So South Sudan has 64 tribes.
Thank you for enlightening us. Yeah.
When a guy comes from a different tribe to marry a different tribe, I feel like they abuse it. So they will charge some guys some ridiculous amount than they would charge in that in that tribe.
Yeah.
So I'm from the Nuer tribe. Say, hypothetically speaking, if a guy came from a different tribe within the South Sudanese culture, they would literally charge him maybe 80 Ks just because he's from an outsider and he's
Yeah, that's
obviously not
crazy.
that he's not that aware and not that educated of what we do within our tribes. And I feel like a lot of parents abuse that over here.
Yeah.
And there's a consequences to all of this.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the woman. It always goes back to us.
Yeah, yeah.
It goes back to us later. We have to cop all of that.
Yeah,
We have to cop
absolutely.
the abuse. We have to cop the stress, the struggle, everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's a huge negative
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
for sure. And then the last negative that I just wanted to talk about is the fact that obviously a lot of young people are just not wanting to get married. They'd rather just live as partners, which is something that is very common in Australia, because they don't want to. They want to avoid all this drama that comes with it, and I think that's that's just not healthy for our generation.
It's a financial burden. That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way I want to put
Yeah,
it. It's
for
a
sure.
financial burden
Absolutely.
for young
And-
people.
Yeah, sorry. It also gives pressure on a lot of our girls who are out there. Some of them are well educated. Some of them are waiting there, actually, holding themselves together and waiting to marry someone from
right
their
person.
own, the right person. But then a lot of time, then our young people will be just like, that is too much headache.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through all of this.
Our young guys are
dowry
actually
stuff.
afraid.
Yeah,
they
all
are afraid. They're
And
afraid
don't
of
blame
us.
them.
so much
I've
pressure on
heard
both.
I've heard guys
Boys
saying
and
that
girls, yeah.
why would I pay that much when I can go outside and get a girl for
Yes,
free?
yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but that's how
That's
it is.
hectic, yeah.
That's
It
how
is.
it is.
It is.
And I feel like we can enhance the culture to make it beautiful so we can
Yeah.
pass it on
Yeah, yeah.
to not just our generation but
Yeah.
to the next generation of our kids.
Yeah.
That's how culture should be. It should
Absolutely.
be enhanced to be more beautiful to to just pass the culture on and on and
Yeah,
on so it can
for
live
sure.
forever.
Absolutely. And to make it beautiful,
There are two things I just want to
enhance
add.
it,
to enhance the
To
culture.
enhance this culture.
I totally agree with you. It's very important to let all young people and adults and older people, let us all keep discussing and make something affordable, reasonable, that will not give stress to the men and to the young women.
Yeah.
And then also, when people are coming to talk about marriage, it shouldn't be made so difficult to the extent it will take the whole night.
yes. Oh, goodness gracious.
I
don't ever want to go to another one of those things again.
A lot of the marriage that I attended, it starts at 4:00. That's the time they give, until 4:00 in the morning.
12 hours.
Start.
You know how much money I would make in 12
You know,
hours?
It's just terrible. And even when there are other younger people who wanted to see what is going to happen, these young people will end up going to sleep at midnight or so. Yeah, they miss out. And this is because of these are some of the cultures. For me, if there is a culture that doesn't help, it should actually be...
We need to put it in the bin.
You can not necessarily put it all in the bin, but we can adjust it. We can make it, affordable. Everyone else can actually enjoy it and work through it. Yeah, so that is
Culture is
what I
meant
just
to
wanted
be, for me personally, culture is meant to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, of course.
It's meant to be a beautiful, gorgeous thing that everybody enjoys. It shouldn't be something that we will eventually hate, It should be something beautiful.
That you love. Yeah.
That we all love,
Yes, for sure, for sure. So I think that one of the things also... So like Mom said, yes, let the young and the older come together and keep talking about it. Another thing that you said earlier already was let mothers be given the opportunity to have a say, as well as the girl that is getting married should be given an opportunity to have a say in all of these negotiations. Another thing, honestly, I feel like we should adopt part of this culture where the woman's family also pays something. I know this is not, so not many people will love it, but
I agree
I think
with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, let the
Eritreans
woman...
and Ethiopian
Yes,
culture.
yes.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Let the
I
woman's
agree.
family pay
I
something.
agree.
So and it's
family of the
so
girl will
easy.
pay.
It's so easy. For example, if we say that the woman's family will pay some money towards, let's say the the engagement, and then the man's family pays for the wedding, for example.
That's the culture. I admire that one. That's
because the
really
marriage, because marriage is about coming together and working together and making something beautiful in unity. So why are we starting it off with dividing it? Oh yeah, so the woman is so precious, so the man needs to pay.
But in saying, they say the woman is precious and we need to appreciate them and blah, blah, blah. But in a lot of cases, once the woman is married, the woman has no right.
That's right.
Because even if she wants a divorce later, she has no right to say that she wants a divorce.
That's right.
Like back home in their generation, they didn't have the right to say that they wanted a divorce. And if they wanted a divorce, all her kids would go to the guy's side, you know?
Yeah.
But over here, we have rights, and, you know, we can take our children and be like, goodbye, you know?
Yeah. So so anyway, those were our humble opinions. I hope it doesn't ruffle any feathers in an ugly way. We just wanted to open a dialogue, and please, you are so welcome to, you know, like, to communicate with us, you know, leave some comments below, ask questions, give us your opinions wherever you're from. We would love to actually hear from, you know, everybody that is watching. I just want to thank my guests, Magdalena and Nyabana. You've definitely made this conversation colorful and fun and educational.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, you're so welcome.
Us,
So guys, please give this video a thumbs up if you love it. Definitely subscribe if you're not subscribed. And to all my constant supporters, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. I love yous. And I'll see you guys in my next video.